side. All right.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning or good afternoon or good evening to everyone. Thanks for joining and listening in to this journey mapping session. We'll take about 45 to 50 minutes of your time today, and I super hope it's worthwhile. So let's get started. So a quick introduction. My name is Mike Johnston. I love integrated fundraising and marketing and especially the digital environment. Some quick things about me: I'm a comic book nerd. I love hockey. I once sold Wayne Gretzky jerseys in Siberia in the early 80s. I was once hospitalized for 183 days, but was cured in 96 of a chronic illness. It taught me a lot about life and what's important. Strangely enough, my wife, you can see her picture in the bottom left, having a Coke, was in the Russian cosmonaut program, and she is Scottish in origin. Got two great kids, Laura, 14, Andrew, 12. They both play hockey. Andrew's a goalie. He likes to get in front of things in life, not get out of the way. I think that's perfectly apt. And Laura smudges out boys the same age as her as a defenseman. Written 5 books on fundraising, and I've got a fundraising tattoo. Maybe we'll do a whole session on fundraising tattoos sometime. So let's get started. Our agenda today, we're going to stop along the way at what I'm going to call way stations. And for those of you who like Stephen King, I'm inspired in the way stations by the way station in the Dark Tower series. You'll see on the screen there's some Celtic I don't even know how you pronounce this, Stasium Eel or way stations. I've got to be in Dublin a few days, so that's why it's there. So the way stations are important. CX, what is it, and how do we end a 5-year gap around CX? We're going to meet Sophia, and her case will really be enlightening on what we're talking about with journey mapping. The curious case of Lidl, and then applying these things to the social impact sector, the charitable sector. So let's jump right in. So the way stations, you may have downloaded our printout and have it printed off today, and you'll be using that. Or if you don't have the printout, I'm going to stop from time to time and have you scribble down lateral thoughts like something coming in a minute. So first off, CX, what the heck is that? Is that something from Star Trek? Is that something from Marvel Comics? No, that is customer experience. And really, why does customer experience matter in the charitable sector? It's pretty clear. In the commercial sector, there's been heavy investment around CX because it's a highly competitive marketplace. So with products, services, and pricing, so important and competitive, customer experience is one of the last remaining sustainable differentiators. I think that is true in the charitable sector as well. Hands up if we are in a highly competitive fundraising marketplace. Absolutely. So let's stop at our first journey mapping way station, number 1. I want you to either use your worksheet in front of you or write these down, write the answers down. First question, do you put the donor, volunteer, participant at the center of your organization? So think, scoring yourself from 1 star to 4 star, 1 star being technically crappy, 4 being fantastic. How well do you put the donor in the center of your organization, or volunteer or event participant? 1 to 4. Draw the 4 stars, the 2 stars, or circle them on your worksheet. Number 2, does your organization work in a coordinated fashion for your donor, volunteer, or event participant experience? So internally, do your departments, different parts of the organization work well together to give a great experience for people who support the organization? Score yourself from 1 to 4. Because we're going to come back to this, how journey mapping helps teams work better together internally. So let's move forward. That 5-year lag, it's got to go. What do I mean by that? In the commercial sector, there are often trends, things they perfect for the customer experience that take years and years to come across to the charitable sector. Very good reasons why. We don't have the budget. We don't have the skill sets. We don't have the resources. The reason we've tried with journey mapping to shorten that lag is because we think it is so applicable and so powerful for the sector that we looked and stumbled upon a partner. And that partner is Oracle. Oracle, the roughly $38 billion a year multinational, has been working and investing in the skills and the ability and the application of customer experience and journey mapping in their sector. And we met them a few years ago and we thought, oh my gosh, this would be perfect to bring across to the sector. Let's work with people like Brian Walsh, who gives so generously of his time. He is the senior North American consultant and architect for CX and journey mapping for Oracle. And we work together to translate journey mapping across to the charitable sector. And we're so proud to have Oracle as a close partner in this. So let's take a step back, and I'm going to walk you through a wonderful story. Not so wonderful for Sophia in some ways, except in the end, and you have to wait. We're going to meet Sophia and some other actors, and this story is going to show you what journey mapping looks like and what the outcomes are. So let's look at this story of helping Sophia. And we start by meeting Doug Dietz. Doug Dietz is a mechanical engineer, and he works for a company, General Electric, GE, and Doug is responsible for a certain machine. That machine, two machines really, the CAT scan and the MRI machines, built by GE. Great product, does wonderful things, finds and cures all kinds of stuff. Beautiful diagnostic machine. So Doug goes to talk to someone who's responsible for one of his products, an MRI machine at a pediatric hospital. And he's told by everyone there that the machine is working perfectly. It is taking the images, it is processing the images, it's showing the doctors what they need to see and the technicians. And he said, wow, that's great. And so he's walking away, he's leaving the colleagues who've said it's working well, and he sees a little girl, 6.5 years old, walking down the hallway towards the MRI machine in the room. Now, of course, it is not bright and shiny and Star Trek-like in that image I showed you earlier, but it is instead in a dark room, in the basement, in a room that smells, with octopus-like arms jutting from the wall and sealing into the machine, and it's making weird sounds. So for Sophia, Doug can see trepidation already, right? She's worried as she approaches the room, as she sees and looks into the room and sees the machine. She's worried, she's getting uncomfortable, she's squeezing her mom's hand harder, and so Doug decides to be discreet, but to watch and see what her experience is like, what the customer experience is with his machine. And so Sophia goes into the room, but she's already resisting. She's asking mom if she can go. The nurse is trying to persuade her to enter into the room, to go over to the technician. The technician is coming over. She's resisting more and more. She will not lie down in the machine. She's starting to cry. She gets upset. The technician and the nurse follow protocol. They decide to call the anesthesiologist. The anesthesiologist wakes up because that person's been working for 72 hours straight. Grumpy, they come down. They apply the anesthetic. They put her unconscious in the machine. It does its scan and it does its job, but not to Doug. So Doug is shaken. He's upset. I mean, this 6.5-year-old child has been knocked unconscious by a powerful drug. She's stuck into the machine, and then she has to recover and wake up later. So it's not working. So to him, the customer experience is broken, and he needs tools that allow him to look at her journey, to look at the customer experience, and find ways to fix it, to make it better. And so he he hears of an Oracle-led and Stanford Design School journey mapping process, and he decides to apply it. And so he brings a team together, and they get in a room, they collect some information beforehand, but they get in a room and they get sticky notes starting to stick up on a wall, and they physically work together as a team and journey map. So what does that look like? Journey mapping Sophia's experience. Everything in journey mapping that's done physically on a wall by the team, by Doug and his team, and by you if you apply this process, is moving from left to right. So in the Western world, we learn and we follow journeys from left to right. We read that way. And for example, for those of you who are listening in who saw Lord of the Rings, people are going from, right, the Hobbit villages at the beginning to Mordor at the end, always left to right. So the journey across the screen in all three movies is from left to right. We're sticking up stickies when we work together in journey mapping from left to right. But we start by putting the persona. And we'll come back to this later on how much detail can you get for that persona. So Sophia is real, but she's also a fictionalized persona of a group or constituency, right, who are interacting with his machine. So children in pediatric hospital settings going to MRIs and CAT scans. So Sophia is put up on the wall, and that's what you do. Could be a donor. And then we first map from left to right on stickies her behaviors, the things she does on her journey. And you can see here, she goes to the initial doctor, right, meeting. She rides to the hospital, right? She checks in. She walks to the MRI. She sees it. She cries and resists. She sees the doctor enter. She gets drugged. She goes through the MRI, right? So that behavior line is drawn first. Then we want to map the on-stage experience, right? The people and things that she's coming into direct contact with. There are 16 stages in the complete journey mapping process we partner with Oracle on and have learned from. And that sounds like a lot, but folks like Brian Walsh have done this enough that it's the right number of steps and it actually works smoothly. So we take a look at that. Doug looks at the people and things, and you can see, right, the doctor in the initial visit, the mom driving her to the hospital, all the way across, the anesthesiologist, right, the imaging tech running the machine, and then the things, the take-home packet, the car, the desk and computer for the check-in nurse, the tissues as she's crying or the medicine is being applied, the needle and drugs for the anesthesiologist, and then the machine she's going through. Okay? So then we take a look on the top above the behavior line. We take a look at attitudes, and this is stunningly smart and a great addition to how we journey map. So for the last 20 years, I've been journey mapping with clients and with partners, but we always leave out the emotions. We just look at the physical things that are happening. Do we send out a direct mail pack? Then do we call them? And we only look at really the people and things that we do. So we map Sophia's attitudes. What is she feeling? What are her emotions? Am I really sick? I wish I was at school. I'm nervous. That looks scary, that machine. You know, Mom, can't you help me? No, please don't. We're capturing how she's feeling, her attitudes, her emotions, and I think that's a powerful addition in journey mapping. And then we map the backstage support, the people behind the scenes and the things behind the scenes that are supporting the onstage actors who are dealing and connecting with Sophia. And so I think all of you understand backstage support. So for example, if we look at this and the things that are being mapped, you look at system admin, the third one over from the left. So people who are taking the patient system information and pushing it up to the check-in nurse. So if we move laterally to a nonprofit, someone in your organization is an expert on Razor's Edge, right? And that's the system admin database person behind the scenes. We want to map all of that because that could be important when we look at fixing a broken donor journey, for example. So what's next? So Doug next has his team, and they have little stickies, and they take these little circles and sort of 1, 2, 3 go without talking to each other. They run up and they look for what they're told as moments that matter. Stick the sticky on a high point or a low point in Sophia's journey around her attitudes. And and then you see self-evidently where are the collective moments that matter. If your team is putting 10 of them on one without talking to each other, it's clearly a place you need to concentrate. And so in Doug's case, will this hurt me? And then we're circling her behavior, right? Her attitude affects her behavior. Will it hurt me? She cries and resists as the attitude. That we call the moment that matters, and that's what you're looking for. You want to drive through to the moment that matters and concentrate on it. So you can see we draw a line down to the MRI machine. This is a moment that matters. And then we take a look at impact. We take a step back and look at the moment that matters and say, how is this impacting our business? And in a nonprofit sense, how is it impacting our volunteerism? How is it impacting our fundraising and marketing, our brand building? In the case of the hospital, right, the impacts are way more time for staff, way more imaging time, and the machine is taken up longer and not working. There's the cost of the drugs, right? And there is the physical and emotional impact of administering those drugs on the child, so the patient impact as well. So moving laterally, you'll be looking at what are the business impacts in my fundraising. So then we take a look at needs, and there are two needs. One is the moment need, the real physical, tangible need, and then there is the emotional need. And so we look at the need, these two the moment need and the emotional need for Sophia. And so Doug's team says, look, her moment need is she needs a scan. Got to have a scan. Put it on a sticky, put it up around the moment that matters. What's her emotional need? At that moment that matters, will this hurt me? She needs to feel safe. So the team works together and says, hey, she needs to feel safe, and that's an emotional need, and we put it up on the wall. We circle feel safe, right? This emotional need. And so Doug, begins now to look at the roles in the process, that what are the people doing and the things doing in a review to make sure, right, that we understand how it impacts the moment that matters. And in Doug's case, they circle together the MRI machine itself, right? So is it working? Right? So they look, is it positioned right? Is it taking the image? Yeah, doing all the things physically it's supposed to do. But there's something else, a question mark. Like it's not, something's happening with the machine that's not making her feel safe, right? So he brought a team together and they went out and they said, let's get a bunch of kids to write down things that make them feel safe. And lo and behold, camping universally came out amongst all the children as something that makes them feel safe. So the imagination of the child. You're probably sitting in a chair. You might be standing listening, but you're probably sitting in a chair. So to you and I, a chair is a chair is a chair. But a chair to a child with imagination added is with a blanket, a tent, right? With a box, a rocket ship. So camping suddenly became this opportunity, this innovation opportunity to affect the customer journey. So there's the idea. Let's go camping. We call it an innovation. It's in purple. So a purple sticky goes up on the team. Hey, we're going to go back to our journey map after doing some work with kids. And often we don't do that. We don't go off and do it. We work as a team up on the wall for innovative ideas. And lo and behold, this is what came out of it. That doesn't look like a scary machine. That looks like in the top, like a fun camping experience. And so GE has a business unit now that actually creates the Disney-like experiences with a hospital around its CAT scans and MRI machines. And so before this work was done, approximately 80% of child patients needed to have an anesthesiologist administer a drug. After this improved journey, less than 1% needed to have an anesthetic. So an incredible change through journey mapping on business impact and the customer experience. You can see here on the top, gosh, that MRI machine actually, there's pine resin in the room and the nurses are in script. There's a backpack, right, that's given to the child, and wow, that they tell her or him, if you lie still in the MRI machine for a minute, the stars will come out, and photoluminescent stars inside the tube come out. So all of this, to get them comfortable, crickets, and you can see at the bottom a rocket ship and a nautical theme, all of this coming out of journey mapping. So it's around testing new experiences, new attitudes, new behaviors lead to different results. So you can see along the bottom, they went all the way back for the customer experience of Sophia from the very beginning. So the backpack instead of a bureaucratic envelope, right? The camping guide is the nurse. The nurse is a camp guide. She's got a, hey, let's go camping button. She has a script to talk like a camp guide, right? And then the campsite, and you can see, let's go all the way to the top. Her attitudes are changing, right? That's a cool backpack. Boy, she was friendly. I love camping so much, right? And so you can see, right, her attitudes are changing. Today could be fun. This place is neat. Wow, a campfire. Feels like I'm camping. This isn't so bad, right? And the important thing is, right, that as her attitudes are changing, they change her behavior. She lays down in the machine, she listens to the forest sounds, and she has her scan, right? So attitudes changed through a changed customer experience with an innovation, changing behaviors to change outcomes, right? And so the business impacts, right? Less imaging time, right? Less drug costs, less staff time, less side effects. And so translate that over to doing that for a donor experience. So let's stop. It's way station number 3. If you've got your sheet out, let's fill it out, right? Who could be your Sophia? So top of mind, gut check. Are there constituent groups that you feel like you can improve the customer experience? Maybe it's event participants, right? In an event who just don't come back after a year. Maybe it's a monthly donor you want to turn into a major donor, a single gift donor into a monthly donor. So who could be your Sophia, right? Think about your demographics, gender, right? The groupings of people you want to look at, your gut. Maybe it's Peter, 55-year-old direct mail donor. Who could be your Sophia? Think now. Okay. So we're going to move on to way station number 4. So what journey do you want to map? Now, in part, it's informed by the persona you might be thinking about. So what journey do you want to map? What journey feels broken? Or what journey is unbelievably good for your organization and you want to turbocharge it to be even better? But we often look at broken, like Sophia's, right? Broken journeys, we look for moments that matter. So what journey would you map? Write it down. Go with your gut. I'll give you a few seconds to write it down, and then we'll keep going. Okay, so finish that up, and we're going to look at a really intriguing ad. And it's connected to journey mapping. So Morrison's is a grocer in the United Kingdom, and a low-cost competitor from Germany, Lidl, came in. And what you're seeing on the screen is a full-page ad in all the UK newspapers a week after Morrison's launched their discount program. And really what it is a deconstruction of a journey map. So let's look at this in detail. So how do you match the prices? Well, you go to Morrison's website. You find the new loyalty card scheme page. You set up your online account. You create a memorable password. You confirm the memorable password. You hand over a bunch of details, name, last name, email. Remember to untick the, do you not want to get spam box? You hand over more minor details, postal code for a second time, mobile number, double check if you're the gender you think you are, tell them how many people live in your household, and choose from an endless list of dietary requirements. Then you request a card. Then you wait around for the card to turn up at home. Then you sign back into your account with your card. You try to remember your memorable password. You enter your 19-digit card number onto the website. Then you enter the correct 19-digit number. You realize the price match is in points. You'll learn that 1 cent equals 10 points, or 1p. Then you realize you can only start saving when you have your first 5,000 points. Practice your mental arithmetic and work out that 5,000 points is $5 or 5 pounds. Okay, that's it. You march off to the local M store. Uh-oh, can't use it here. Not a big enough store. You head to a bigger Morrison's. Then you find out that your basket has to include one product that's comparable to another supermarket's to make a savings. Pick up some beans. Oh, realize they're not part of the deal. Try to find beans that are a part of the deal. I wonder if that applies to beans with sausages. Maybe. You search for other applicable items so your shop exceeds the 15-pound or 15-buck required spend. Oh, good. You finally receive your voucher for 5 pounds or 5 bucks, and then you're told you can only spend it the next time you come to the store. So that's how Morrison's has found a way to match Lidl's prices. You can do all that, or you can just go to Lidl's. Right. So it seems ridiculous and complicated, but it was created with the best intentions. But it was probably created in isolation and in silos, where one part of the organization, right, thought of something. No one took a step back and walked through the experience as it relates to the customer. And if someone had, or if all of the departments had come together and then journey mapped, they'd see the ridiculous complexity that was created for all the right intentions. And I think this is true in fundraising. When we journey map on a wall, we suddenly realize we weren't so coordinated as an organization, and the customer experience sucks. Right? There's something broken. And journey mapping lets us go back and review and stand in the shoes of our donors. So one of the greatest powers of Homo sapiens is cognitive empathy, our ability to stand in somebody else's shoes and see through their eyes. I think no other creature on earth has the ability to do that. I'll leave out whales and dolphins, maybe, but we just can't ask them. So this ability to stand in someone's shoes is something that journey mapping brings to the fore and is super important for fundraising and for nonprofits. So the next journey mapping way station. Who would you map other than your own organization? So that Lidl example with Morrison's. Maybe there's an organization that you are super impressed with, right? That you just think in the charitable sector is top of the line. You want to go and you want to map their journey. Or you have a very close competitor who eats your lunch. You want to map out and see where their flaws are, or how you can be inspired to be more competitive in yours. So there could also be people in the commercial sector, right? I don't know, Amazon rocks your boat. So you want to map the Amazon experience, journey map it. So take a minute or two. Who would you map other than your own organization? Like Lidl did it to Morrison's. Who would you do it with? Okay. Okay. We're going to keep going. So let's apply. How is this applied in the nonprofit sector? So let's take a step back and show a real example from someone who's worked hard at this, and we'll start with the persona creation. So this is the Ontario SPCA. This is an animal welfare rights humane organization, and here's what they did to create as accurate a persona as possible. So they started by exporting the constituent list from their CRM. Then they conducted custom audience matching from social profiles. So reasonably low cost, and you can take places like Facebook and do some audience matching for personas, looking at, right, who's online and connecting that to your actual supporters, and then linking this to online web analytics to determine affinities. The next part is kind of cool and fun secret sauce. Some of our folks here at HJC and Extraordinary and other partners, we have a genome mapping software that we've adapted to the persona development, and we apply it. And it helps us kind of sort out personas, look for patterns, which is what genome mapping software is good at. And then the output of all of that with OSPCA is a series of personas, right, with a list of corresponding constituents. And here's an example of what one of those, through all of that process, here's what one of the personas looked like, right? Where does this person live? What's their gender? Are they married? How many animals do they have at home? How old are they? What kind of education? And then really standing in their shoes, making them feel real, but it's based on real data. And so applying these journey maps, does it even make a difference? So let's take a look at something from Ontario SPCA. You can see here, iAdopt is a program that gave Ontario citizens a chance to post stories and pictures about them adopting an animal through OSPCA. Ontario SPCA has around, and I could be wrong, around 15,000 people a year who become adopters. And so how could the organization get people to post about the great experience and then create a journey that would then convert them? But the first thing was there was a broken adoption experience. They got 34 people the first year. They used journey mapping to fix it, and lo and behold, 8,624 people. Wow. And that's just by using journey mapping to find simple broken parts of the journey, like with Sophia, fix them, right? Run it through again, much better results. Another takeaway from the officers, so it was a cross-functional journey mapping process. They had officers who go into the field to bust puppy mills, people who are at the front desk as people adopt, plus fundraising, so it's a cross-functional team. I cannot emphasize how important that is, super important. The officers were saying, hey, how can we get people to be closer to the organization and the work that we do in the field? And now, incredibly smart organization is now experimenting with virtual reality to see how they can explain the work that they do better in the field. Wonderful, kind of thoughtful things that come out of journey mapping. Exciting, super exciting. So let's look at a great cross-functional, cross-departmental example here with St. Joseph's Health Center Foundation. St. Joseph's is a general hospital in the west end of Toronto, and they wanted to journey map patient and patient family experiences, and they decided to bring together cross-functional participants to the journey mapping that you can see on the screen. So they had nurses, they had doctors, so they had director of anesthesiology, director of surgery, pediatrics, and they stayed for 2.5 hours working with marketing and fundraising and IT and other parts of the organization to create a holistic and participatory patient and patient family journey that matters. And one quick win, so when you do journey mapping as an organization, you're mapping, right, we're going to get somebody to be, I don't know, you might want someone who is, they're in a part of an organization where they're not usually included and they expect things to take a long time. A quick win here, the journey mapping popped up that they have free Wi-Fi. Well, heck, free Wi-Fi for 500,000 people a year. Why don't we have people give their email address and have the foundation sponsor it and go from there? It's a great idea. I wanted to show you just a quick win here. This is the Canadian Diabetes Association working on an event, Team Diabetes. And so here's how they looked at applying journey mapping. So the outcome was top of funnel to bottom of funnel. So they worked on journey maps as it related to doing a better job at the top of the funnel of, where are there problems to get more people in the door as warm leads and convert them to be fundraisers for Team Diabetes. How do we have post-registration attrition improved in the middle of the funnel? And then how do we re-engage and cross-sell folks who are already committed on Team Diabetes? And so they use journey mapping to concentrate on and find problems to be solved through the funnel. So one important thing that happens quite a bit is, how do you operationalize the journey? Hey, great, we've been in a room, we've stuck stickies on the wall, now what? And so I think it's super important to take a look at this example from a hospital foundation, and quite a number of hospital foundations across North America, where they took the journeys and then they looked at the technology. And in this case, the technology is called Luminate Online and TeamRaiser. It's a Blackbaud product. And so it was tying the technology to the journeys. And you can see here, how do we work with groups, interest level, and engagement scores within the technology of Luminate to fully leverage these new journeys? And so this is deep in the weeds, but I think it's just a slide to show, how do you take the technology, tie it closely to the journey maps like Sophia's, right, and be able to automate and improve the journey moving forward. And you can see on the screen, conditionalizing content in an email campaign. So this is the American Heart Association, and Luminate Online in this case allows to take data and personalize journeys, and you can connect journey mapping to this ability. So let's look further. Does it really matter? This is a lovely example from about 7 years ago, and I call it the puppy kitty gambit. It's the ASPCA in the United States, and they wanted to they had a survey, do you like puppies or kitties? And depending on your answer, they then used the Convio technology, now Luminate, and they would personalize depending on your answer. If you're a dog person, you get a dog letterhead at the top right. The dog stories go first and the cat stories go second, and vice versa if you're a cat person. And then we also had a control, right, that didn't use the material and just spat up 50-50 a dog or a cat. So did it work? Does personalization and segmentation with journey mapping work? Take a look at this. Personalized messaging to donor segments, the data performed 300% higher. Personalized messaging to non-donor segments, 170, and open rates were 140 to 220% higher. I mean, flat out, I have a Pavlovian reaction to this. As a fundraiser, I see these numbers and I am salivating as I'm talking to you. These numbers make us into superstars, but we're simply leveraging technology and marketing automation and personalization with improved journeys. And that's why I'm showing this to you. So let's take a step back and just look at the complete. We don't have enough time today to look at the complete journey mapping process, but I'm showing you on the screen what we've talked about and how it works. You create the initial map, and we saw that with Sophia. You'll have all of these slides downloaded, right? So just make lateral notes. You evaluate, right? So you stick your sticky up. You look for the moment that matters. You explore by clarifying needs, and we looked at needs. You look at roles and process, right? Then we take a step back. We're putting everything together, and then the purple things are like the purple thing you saw, the innovation that comes from camping. And then last, we take a step back, right? We say, is this realistic? How is this possible? And you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, you write a CX and journey mapping hypothesis as a team. You can do it in 3 hours from start to finish and make all of this work together. One of the last way stations. And you can see what I've been getting at the last few minutes. Do you have the technology to set up, conditional content, triggered emails based on engagement scores and segmented groups that may come out of the journey mapping? So like CDA, right? There were 3 key segments there. How do they use technology, in their case, Luminate and TeamRaiser in the future, to be able to do marketing automation to personalize all these things? So we're almost wrapped up, and one of the most important things, donorjourney.com is a free place we have created for the sector. Brian Walsh and other Oracle folks, people at HJC, other nonprofits, we're just pouring in good examples. Take out your cell phone right now, or if you're on your computer, go to donorjourney.com, sign up, and go on this journey with us. We'll share examples, case studies. I want you to take this material away and do your own thing. And then last, with all the stickies up on the wall like we've talked about today, thanks so much. You see my email at the bottom. Anytime, any place, send me an email, bug me, tell me about great things you're doing, and thanks so much for listening in. So sign up to donorjourney.com. Thanks for listening in. I hope this made your day and got you something interesting. Make sure you've got the download of all this material to print off and show others. And that's it. So thanks so much. It's been great.